Councilors, I call this meeting of the City Council's Finance Committee to order. Will you all please join me in standing and saluting the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Budget number 1, Police. Brenda Perez, Police Chief.
Good evening, councilors. Mr. Chair, CFO Dr. Clarkson, thank you for your continued support. I'd like to also thank Mayor Rodriguez. Thank you for your continued support of the Brockton Police Department. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our officers, our call takers, admin staff, and cadets for their hard work and dedication to the department, the city, and its residents. The Brockton Police Department in 2025 answered approximately 100,000 calls of service a year, this past year. About 75 of that were 911 calls. Staffing levels, as you know, were authorized 206. We are currently at 173. We have 33 openings. We have 14 candidates that are expected to go into the academy in June and August. Since 2022, since I've been chief, we have given out, the mayor has given out 62 conditional offers of employment with 45 people of those, with 45 individuals of those still active employees. The department continues to have walk-in beats, bike beats, impact shifts, full-time clinician, participate in the quality of life task force, traffic enforcement shift, traffic safety campaigns, pedestrian and bicycle safety campaigns, and directed patrols, and zero tolerance operations with the Mass State Police and Environmental Police. The department continues to work on implementation of the homeless proposal. We currently had interviews and offered conditional offers of employment for the harm reduction specialist and the harm reduction supervisor. And later this week, we'll be having interviews for the recovery navigators. So that is an ongoing, that's ongoing as we speak. With that, I will take any questions.
Councilors? I see no questions. Oh, Councilor Castro.
Good.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. As we discussed earlier today, I was interested to know how many cruisers you hope to purchase this year and how many we have that are operable right now.
So currently we have 33 marked vehicles, including our transport van, and we have 50 unmarked. Over the last 4 years, we have purchased vehicles, but this is an ongoing, we're always looking to purchase vehicles. From unmarked vehicles, we have 12 units that are approximately 10 to 15 years old, and we should consider as a community replacing within the next 1 to 3 years. For marked cruisers, we have 10 units that are 7 to 10 years old and should consider replacing them in the next 3 years or so. I'd like to, thank you, Council, for that, but I'd like to also talk about the police vehicle and maintaining a structured replacement cycle when it comes to these vehicles. Generally, every 3 to 5 years is really what's recommended. The prolonged idling time, response, emergency response operations, high-speed pursuits, our continuous use of onboarding electronics and specialized equipment. As a result, that vehicle mileage alone does not accurately reflect the overall mechanical wear on the vehicles. The industry data for the Ford Fleet Services indicates that 1 hour of engine idling is equivalent to 30 to 33 miles of driving-related engine wear. So consequently, a cruiser, police cruiser that displays 100,000 could potentially have 200,000 or more. Further complicating this replacement is the length it takes to get a cruiser. So it's a special order, and it could take anywhere between 3 to 9 months to actually get it on the ground here. With all that, I would like to take a moment to thank the city, the mayor, the CFO, who have provided funding to purchase vehicles over the last 4 years consistently. We, a little over a year ago, we were finally able to get rid of the worst of our fleet, which were the 2005, 2006 Crown Vics that we still had in operation. So I'm thankful that they've always, when I've said we need vehicles for our officers, that they have always funded, and you guys have always supported that. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I think I have one other thing, and those Crown Vics were such great cars, weren't they? Let's see. Talk with us about, on page 383, under expense summary, medical supplies and drugs, because it's a large increase from $350 to $2,000.
So that has to do with us outfitting, turning kids, ambu-bags, masks, gloves to our officers in the cruiser.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Good luck. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Green.
Thank you, Chief, and appreciate the work that you and your officers do every day in serving and protecting our community. Chief, we talked earlier about a few things, and I just wanted to kind of come to these few things. And one is, we talked about some of the challenges relating to the recruitment of an officer, and some of those kind of challenges that you face. I know you referenced earlier, we have, I think it's 173 on the force, and we're authorized for, is it 206?
Our authorized is 206, yes.
206, okay. Could you just share with us briefly what some of the challenges are regarding recruiting officers?
So thank you for the question. I know we've had this discussion before. This getting new police officers is not a Brockton issue alone. We're not the only municipality that's short-staffed. There's many municipalities across the Commonwealth and across the nation that are short-staffed. With that said, the process of becoming a certified police officer is lengthy. People have to take the exam. People have to come in to sign the list. People have to pass the background check. People have to pass the medical, the physical, the psychological exam. They have to be past the academy. They still continue with training after that with us. So it's really a 16-month process around to get a fully certified officer. So we have, over the last 4 years, continuously put out lists for 25 to 30 officers, anticipating, right, projecting vacancies so that we can stay on top of that. So we've participated in civil service PSAs. We've hosted civil service down here with our own officers for any interested parties that want to learn more about becoming a police officer. We also have, as you all know, our cadet program, which I believe is has been incredibly successful. And we have many of our cadets that are now sworn police officers.
Thank you, thank you. And let me commend that program, the cadet program, as a feeder program and as a pipeline program for helping to mitigate some of the challenges in recruiting officers through that. So just really commend you and your team for continuing to invest and to take advantage of that program. I know there's a lot that's happening in terms of traffic enforcement, which I'm excited to see. Could you just elaborate a little more on what's being done in regards to traffic enforcement?
Thank you for the question. Currently, our dedicated traffic enforcement provides 7-day coverage involving 1 officer during the day shift, 2 officers in the evening shift. This is an increase from previous enforcement efforts that consisted of 2 officers on a 4 and 2 schedule. In addition to that, 7-day coverage, we also have dedicated traffic enforcement campaigns that I spoke about earlier, which is through our municipal road safety grant. We have distracted driving, click it or ticket, speeding, winter impairment, pedestrian and bicycle safety campaigns, along with our efforts, our traffic enforcement efforts with the state police and environmental police.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, as I indicated to you this afternoon, the question I was going to ask, and now that we have Dr. Clarkson here, pardon me, there are vacant but funded positions, and you will probably not fill those vacant funded positions immediately upon the start of the fiscal year. That's going to leave some unused salary money that, if we could identify the amount, I would love to see that transferred into either a traffic enforcement or into the overtime, personal services overtime account, so that we could put out additional traffic enforcement or officers where needed for a particular reason. So obviously I don't need an answer to that tonight, but I just wanted both of you to know that was my thinking. I don't know if it comports with what you might consider, but rather than have the money just sit there, determine the amount, transfer it where we can use it, and get extra coverage in those areas and for those disciplines that will make a difference.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, happy to just speak to that briefly, Counselor. So we have, out of necessity, I think every year in the last, certainly the last 4 or 5 years, during the year, come to the council and transferred money from regular salaries to overtime. But that generally, because of the requirement to use overtime money to fill shifts because of the number of vacancies. But I think what I hear you saying is identify a specific amount and transfer it for a specific operational purpose.
Yes.
And I will gladly speak to the chief and the mayor about that and come up with a plan.
All right, and Chief, pardon me, but I just thought of one other question. We appropriate a certain amount of money, I think it's maybe $150,000 for license commission enforcement. I have never seen a report generated by that group. I don't know how often they go out. I don't know what they do. I have a colleague here I could probably talk to about that. But the other thing I've heard is that when the assignments are given out, if they're taken by captains and lieutenants, because it's on overtime, that really chews through that amount of money quite vigorously, because obviously a captain's overtime rate is much more than a sergeant or a patrolman. So is it true that we have some collective bargaining provision that allows captains and lieutenants to take those assignments, or do you have the discretion to try to get maximum use out of that amount of money to do license commission activities using the lower ranked officers?
So we have our detectives are the ones that do our license and commission work. They do go out. They do have a supervisor. They also have a captain above them. However, that is not as to best of my knowledge, part of their fair and equitable. So we go through our fair and equitable for overtime. So I don't know that to be true when it comes to the captains, but I will definitely look into it.
Okay, yeah, just as I say, I'm looking to get maximum efficiency out of whatever funding we provide, and that should be true of all departments. Yep. But we thank you for your efforts, and the job has changed so dramatically. I don't think people realize that every day you really never know what you're going to face, and that's something to think about. But thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Chief. Just want to start saying thank you and the men and women of the Brockton Police Department for your service to our city. Just a quick question. So overall, your general budget has been reduced by about 5%. And I see about a 17% reduction in your overtime. Is that a reflection on your the increase in your manning, or what would allow for that overtime reduction if you're, you know, if we're not fully manned? So can you maybe speak to that?
I'll gladly answer that, Counselor, because it was my office that made the reductions and presented them to the mayor. It was more really a function of two things. One, the need to reduce spending, and then two, how the budget has operated for the last several years. So we have, as I mentioned in response to Councilor Farwell's question, routinely over the last few years come to you during the year and transferred money from salaries to overtime because of the large number of vacancies. And in the budget book, I don't know what the number is today, but as of the printing of the book, there were 29 vacancies. So the overtime number has been reduced to balance the budget, but I do anticipate that at least once, if not more, as we monitor the ability of the department to hire more officers, we will likely be back to transfer money from regular salaries to overtime throughout the year.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Carnell, followed by Counselor Griffin.
Good evening, Chief. Thank
evening.
you again. And I just want to say a few words because I was able to attend the Citizens Police Academy with Counselor Azak. And, you know, Sergeant Anderson and yourself put on a very good thing. And I'm way more informed than I was, you know, prior to how the police works and the functions. And I did a ride along. So, you know, I think that is, you know, something that I'd like to see continue and again, I think having the counselors a part of it so we can see how it works is great. And working with some of the cadets, I mean, I didn't know they got paid, and I'm so happy to see that they do get some money for all their work. These are some of the great young men in our community that, you know, are, you know, willing to take this job on. So that's all I wanted to say is, you know, I think, you know, these programs, you know, really bring a light to, you know, the police force when, you know, things are probably not as glamorous. And it really, all the residents that took place are now like people I consider my friends now. So it really is a good program. And I like to see you continue to, you know, make that effort and continue to involve the community. And I think it's, you know, the roadmap to kind of, you know, bridging the gap between, you know, our police and our community. Thank you. Thank you, President.
Appreciate that, Counselor. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Chief. First of all, I want to thank you and your brave men and women of your department that protect our citizens each and every day. You know, that's one side of your department, but you also have a very good community policing segment of your operation. Could you speak a little bit to that, please?
So our community engagement division is expanding. We are, as part of our homeless proposal, going to have 2 community officers. We're adding the clinicians, we're adding the recovery navigators. So overall, we have added to our community events. We've hosted more community events that we didn't do even 2 years ago, like the Citizens Police Academy. So every year, I want my officers to engage more with the community, not just answering a call. So.
I think that's a great program, Chief. And again, I wish you and your office continued success. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Counselor Azak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening.
I'm going to repeat a little bit of what my colleague said, but I was very excited to participate in the Citizens Police Academy. It was very well done. I was very impressed. Thank you to you and your team for really working and making it a success, and I hope more people in the community take advantage of it. One of the most exciting things was hearing the residents talking about how, you know, about their experiences and how, you know, what they're learning about the police. So I was really impressed, and I can't thank you enough for allowing me to be a part of it. So I can't stress it enough. I hope everybody out there tries to take advantage of it. So I'm excited about these amazing programs, whether it's the Citizens Police Academy, the cadet program is, I remember when Chief Gomes few years back was just talking about it, so it's really good to see the success and how well it's working. So a lot of exciting things, and it's good to see our police in the community. This is, I think, all we can ask for is to move forward and have, participate with the community and have the police. I know you have many events. I can't name all of them, but you're here, you're in the community, and that's what matters. I have a quick question. On page 382, there's hazardous duty, which goes to $2,228,034. What is that hazardous duty?
Is that collective?
Yeah. So that is a specific pay that is paid to officers as part of the collective bargaining agreement for both the patrol and the superior officer's contract.
So this is just the total amount of what?
It's just part of their standard pay, yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? All right. Thank you, Chief.
You can stay there. Budget number 2 is Police Public Safety Building. Brenda Perez, Police Chief.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. Well, we'll just take questions if I can.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if possible, why don't I just, at the request of the chief, give just a brief introduction. First, this budget is housed within the police department because that was an operational decision that was made when the building was being constructed. The 4 department heads and I met and then had a discussion with the then mayor, and it was decided that the budget would be housed within the police department. And this will be the first full year that the building is occupied, so you can see quite a significant increase in the request. We still really won't know until we get through next year exactly what those costs are. I will tell you, at the outset of the fiscal year, we will likely be back. We went out to bid for 2 different kinds of contracts, one for custodial services, which is reflected in this budget request, and then another for general maintenance. Because of the size and the complexity of the building, we wanted to have an on-call contractor to be able to come in and fix things when they broke. We found that the cost for that when we went out to bid was prohibitive and much more than anticipated. So we will likely be back to ask you to transfer some of that money to actually have a building superintendent full-time position, a person who has the technical expertise. We're actually working, I should say will be working. Massachusetts Maritime Academy actually has a facility manager curriculum, so we hope to work with them and get a recent graduate. So we're really learning as we go with this new building. As I've said to you from this table before over the years, in public life, we generally do a pretty good job of building things. We don't necessarily do a great job of maintaining things. So we're trying to reverse that trend and start off this building with the maintenance and upkeep that it deserves and that the public deserves.
Counselor Farwell.
Just very quickly, Dr. Claxon, if you know, is there a bond that is still in effect for that building so that if something goes wrong, obviously it's new construction, is there, I don't want to say a warranty of merchantability, but is there some type of an umbrella coverage on that building so that if we determine something is wrong, we're not on the hook for the payment?
There is, and we haven't yet closed out the contract with Suffolk, the company who built the building, who, by the way, did a phenomenal job. However, we did take effective possession of it back in October when we had the ribbon cutting. So some of that, even though it's not fully occupied, some of those warranties have been, the clock has been ticking since October. But we do absolutely still have some time left under that, and there are punch list items that we're still taking care of, but generally the building is finished and most of the things that are being done now are cosmetic. By the way, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, for any of those of you who have not had a full tour or have seen the building in operation, you can certainly reach out to Chief Perez or Chief Nardelli or Jorge or thank you, or Director Hook. And we'd love to either collectively or individually provide a tour. It's a pretty impressive building. There's even I'm going to preempt anything that the chief might say about me. There's even a driving simulator in the basement that you can take a look at.
That's cool.
So, and obviously our umbrella policy on public buildings will cover that one.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
So on page 395, my only question is, since we've combined 4 departments and you have other contract services here, custodial services, for the average person reading that, they might think it's excessive, but it's actually covering 4 different areas, each of which has its own security issues. Obviously, the police have their own security issues in certain areas of the building, whether it's the armory or evidence, et cetera. IT does. So those amounts are reflected by the fact that there are 4 departments there. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, good evening. Just, Mr. CFO, is it expected that here, moving forward, that this would be a separate line item, the public safety building and the operations of the public safety building, separate from the police itself, its own line item as it is right now?
Well, we've segregated it out as a separate budget so that we could track those costs. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, when the building was being constructed, the 4 department heads and I got together and decided a lot of most of the inhabitants are members of the police department. So we decided to house it under the auspices of the chief, but the other chief and the other 2 department heads obviously have input on how the money is spent. So I anticipate for the foreseeable future, it will be under the police department, but a separately tracked budget like it is, because I think it's more transparent for the public and for you, and certainly for us to track.
And ultimately, let's say, who is the, if anything goes wrong, like who is in charge? Would it be the new proposed facilities manager, or is this ultimately, like, does the buck stop with the chief, the police chief, or who ultimately has responsibility? Is there a single person, department that ultimately has responsibility for the building?
So we're certainly trying hard to not have yours and mine and ours, right? Because there are 4 departments located in one building. I will tell you, generally, the department heads, from my observation, have done an excellent job of collaborating like that. When we need to, we meet as a group. And so ultimately, the person responsible for spending the money, because it's under the police department, is certainly the chief, but she has constant collaboration from me and with and supervision from the mayor. So that's why I think, so the contract, when we went out to bid for like the break fix maintenance contract, would have been under the supervision of the police department because the chief is responsible for the budget. But I think having a person on site, and not just a maintenance person, but somebody who is actually a trained facility manager. That's a college curriculum these days. The equipment, as you might imagine, is very advanced. And so it requires somebody who has the ability to maintain those. So that person would likely be under the direct supervision of the police chief because she manages the budget, but certainly would have a combined reporting to any of those department heads if necessary.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Green.
Chief and Dr. Clarkson, could you just help me understand this particular item for extermination and pest control? So on page 381, that's on the police budget, there's a line item for extermination and pest control for 1,500. on page 385, under the public safety building, there's that same amount, 1,500 for extermination and pest control. If we go back to the fire, and that's one of the occupants of the building, on 287, there's a line item for pest control, and that's 7,000. I know the fire department have stations around, but I'm just trying to understand why for police and the public safety, the same amount is listed in two separate places.
It's a great question, and I'll certainly answer it, Counselor, from my perspective, and then defer to the chief if she has anything to add. I think this is probably the last year that you'll see it appear in both budgets. The entirety of the police department should be moved over to the new facility in the very near future, but we will still maintain possession of the Commercial Street building until we sell it, hopefully sometime this summer or early fall. So that money is available for those purposes. You might not think that there would be any need for extermination or pest control in a brand new building, but remember, we disturbed a very old construction site, a very old building, and so it's just a fact of life, right? There are rodents in the area, so we do need to make sure we have money available to address that issue should it occur. And you're absolutely right. That amount occurs in the fire budget because there are multiple facilities and the funds need to be on hand for that. Anything to add, Chief?
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Dr. Clarkson. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other counselors for public safety? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Chief.
Budget number 3, Police, Animal Control, Officer Thomas DeChillis, Director.
I don't have an opening statement, but I would like to make a quick comment. I would just like to say, offer a thank you to Chief Perez, who oversees the Animal Control Department, as well as Captain Picaro, my immediate supervisor, who are here tonight, for their continued support of oversight and the working relationship we have between the Animal Control Department and the Police Department. We're very fortunate to have that type of working relationship here in Brockton. When I see some other communities that have animal control that may fall under the DPW or Parks and Recreation or independent standalone departments, it does make a difference being tied in with the police department. And, I'm thankful for the relationship that we have, and also with the other police officers that we work alongside with. So I just want to say that. And after that, I would like to offer a thank you to the staff that I work alongside with on a day-to-day basis. As you know, I was here before the council a few months back for an overtime appropriation because of being short-staffed. So I'm really thankful for the people that are working right now. They've really stepped up to the plate and helped. And as I've described before with our department, we're just not going out responding in the field for calls for service. We also maintain an animal control facility, so it's quite demanding. So again, I just want to thank you to all those involved that help make this job, provide the resources to do the job that we do. And also to you, the council, the mayor, the CFO for the assistance. It's everyone working together, a team effort that we're able to do what we do. So thank you very much to everyone. And with that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions regards to the department.
Councilor Nicastro.
Good evening, Mr. DeChellis.
Good evening.
Thanks for all your help in Ward 4. I'm looking at page 385, and among your accomplishments is responding to about 8,000 calls. But last year, that was 3,000 calls, or I'm sorry, 11,000 calls. So why are the number of calls down?
Well, that ties in, as I referred to, the staffing reductions. We're currently down 3 out of 6 animal control officers. We're working, as diligently as we can to get those people back to work, but the fact of the matter is we are down 3. So we have had to reduce hours of operation, which I know some of you counselors are aware of. And we've had to restructure on a temporary basis some staffing. So that's why we're not able to respond to as many calls as we were before because of the reduced staffing level, the reduced staff, Counselor.
Okay. That's a big swing. And I notice on your personal services on page 388, there aren't any funded vacant positions. Maybe Mr. Clarkson can speak to that.
Yes, the number of positions remains constant, and the same number of positions exist. When the director speaks of being understaffed, there are current employees who are out.
We're out.
But there have been no elimination of numbers of positions in the department, just the unavailability of people who are out on long-term leave or injury.
Well, I hope they're able to come back. That'll make a difference. On page 390, your overtime number is going up substantially by $20,000.
Yes, Counselor, again, that ties in with the
being
staffing issues.
inadequately
We just don't
staffed.
have the bodies there, so we have to supplement it with overtime.
Okay. And lastly, on page 391, department equipment has gone down from 9,000 to 1,000. Now, last year, you told us that the 9,000 was necessary for replacement vests.
That is correct, and that's what the funds were utilized for in this fiscal year.
Okay,
That's
and
why we see the reduction back down to what it was prior to the ballistic vest replacement for the officers.
And I'm wondering, what is an average life of those vests?
Generally 5 years.
5 years. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Farwell.
Just very quickly, councilors, this is a department that does a lot with very little. They don't have coverage 7 days a week. I assume if we get those injured officers back, we will be able to have weekend coverage, am I right?
We do have coverage 7 days a week, but reduced coverage. Okay. So when we were at full staff, we were working 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. Right now, we're Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and weekends, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., with an officer assigned to on-call, off-shift hours.
Well, animals running loose, when a little child loses their dog and you're able to find that animal, you've given that child something that is priceless. The other thing is animals running loose can be a real traffic hazard and cause accidents. So the work of the men and women in your department is really important. I know you still need a new building. I don't know if that'll be in my lifetime, but perhaps Dr. Clarkson will pull some money out of a hat someday and we'll get a new and expanded facility so that we can take care of animals. And thank the staff for all you do. I know I call you once in a while and you're always right there.
I will do that. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Green.
So you're down by 3 staff, meaning their availability due to illness or issues of that sort. Do you have an expected date of return for these employees? And I'm just wondering if, depending on that, is it possible that you may need additional funds for overtime?
I do not have an anticipated date of return for any of the 3 that are out right now. Again, with the overtime increase, hopefully that will last for the fiscal year. Hopefully, ideally, we can get people back to work sooner than later. That would be the ideal outcome. If the $40,000 doesn't get us through the whole fiscal year, if you approve that increase, we'll be back before the council to request more and justify the request.
Okay, all right. On page 390, There is a line item for electricity, 8,500, but there's nothing for previous years. Is that because of solar credits, or is that something else?
Similar to the departmental question we had last night, Counselor, there are several departments who we used energy credits for this current and previous fiscal years, but those have run out, so this is an ongoing expense for the department, but a new budget request.
Got it. Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Director.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you, Troy.
Item number 4, Traffic Commission, Captain Mark Porcaro, Chairperson.
The proposed fiscal year 27 budget is a generous budget, and I thank the mayor and Dr. Clarkson for it, and I thank you if it's adopted and passed. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Counselor Farwell?
Very quickly, Captain, thank you for responding to my email. I would like to put a priority on that 106 Ames Street, because those young women that came in last night were very sincere about what was happening in that area. And so whatever the commission may be able to do, I know that's the council president's ward, and he's very committed to seeing what we can do for that family.
Certainly follow up, sir.
Do you still have 2 full-time officers assigned to traffic enforcement with you, or where are we with that?
The 2 officers who were assigned to the traffic unit have since, one is out on leave, another one has since retired. But what we're doing in the meantime is every day the shifts are assigning an officer from the shift to go out and do traffic enforcement.
Okay. And I know the police file reports on accidents, but do you at the Traffic Commission have a chance to take a look at the issues, some of which were mentioned here the other night? Pedestrian accidents, accidents involving vehicles into buildings, accidents involving vehicles onto sidewalks and hitting a fixed object. Does the Traffic Commission as a group get involved in that, or is that pretty much left to the police to collate the information, and then if something comes up, you take a look at it? Basically, I'm looking for how do we assign people to traffic enforcement when we have them? Is it statistically based, or is it anecdotal information, or?
To answer the first part of your question, the Traffic Commission as a group does look at accident reports when there's a particular item on our agenda that will need us to look at accident reports, particularly if an engineering study is involved. So if there is something on our agenda, possibly like the Ames Street situation, if that ends up on the agenda, we will request from the Brockton Police Department's Records Division the accident reports, and all the members will have an opportunity on their own to look at that and form an opinion as to what's going on there.
Okay.
And then the second part of your question, Counselor, is traffic enforcement assignments are based on requests and needs. So from time to time, people will reach out to us with a request, whether it's speeding in their neighborhood or whatever it could be, or if we're noticing too many crashes at a particular location, we'll assign officers. I'll reach out to the lieutenants on the shift and have them ask the officers to focus into those areas to address those issues.
All right, and the last request I have for you is, would you coordinate with DPW and have them cut back on foliage, limbs, anything else that obstructs signage at intersections, stop signs, speed limit signs, whatever it may be, because you notice it more this time of year, obviously because the greenery is coming out, but that can be an issue in some areas where a stop sign is not visible until you're right on top of it. So thank you for your efforts.
We'll take care of that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Griffin?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Captain.
Good evening, sir.
I just want to thank you personally for the help you've given me over the last few years with directed patrols and also the four-way stop signs down at Market and Warren. That really has changed the amount of accidents in that area dramatically, especially with the flashing signs there now, too. And I just want to thank you personally and continue success in the upcoming year.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure helping you and everyone.
Counselor Charnel, followed by Counselor Green.
Thank you, Captain. I also want to thank you for, attending some community meetings where I live in the past, and you've never said no, and if you're available, you've been there. I too want to echo what my colleague said about the 104 Ames Street. I mean, that is something I think that, looking into is worth looking into. I mean, you don't see many people come in here and are that distraught about many accidents happening at a particular location. So I just ask that we look into it and see what the best solution would be from the traffic commission or any department, maybe putting up a barrier, maybe putting up some obstruction so, their home could be a little safer. Because I don't think we can't prevent everything, but we can put some, maybe some guardrails there. So, no pun intended on that, but so that the house doesn't get damaged and people can live in peace. Thank you.
I'll definitely
Thank you, Mr.
follow up.
President.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Green, followed by Counselor Thompson.
Captain, thank you for the amazing work that's done through the commission.
Thank you, sir.
I have a special appreciation for the Traffic Commission, being a member on the other commission and the incredible work that is done. I do have a couple questions for you, Captain. On page 430, just looking at the performance measures, I noticed that in prior years, FY 25 and 26, there are no indicators really for percent of payments of pavements and percent of click fix. But we do have that for FY 27, which is 100%. So I'm just wondering, did we not have a system in place to track these measures in previous years? And do we have it now for FY 27?
What I try to do is with the pavement line painting, it's kind of old-fashioned, and we're about to start that season again, is every season, every summer, late spring into late fall, I print up the street list for the entire city, with the exception of the state-controlled roads. And it's essentially, it's a checklist. So as the line painting company is going around painting the crosswalks and the stop lines and all the pavement markings, and the police detail crew is behind them, they are literally checking off what they are doing. The target, the goal, the hope every year is that we paint 100% of the city. Some years we come very close to that. And it's, like I said, it's just kind of like an old-fashioned method of mine. I'll just look at the list at the end of the season and just kind of eyeball it. And for the most part, we may not come 100%, but we're in the 90s.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to put that because it's just my opinion, my guesstimate, but when I'm looking at the check marks, I see very few areas that aren't checked off. So we're usually, in my opinion, in the 90s, 90% of painting the city-controlled roads. And as far as the C-Click Fix, the traffic signs, the DPW traffic division worker maintains all that. They go onto C-Click Fix and they address any C-Click Fix issues. So if a stop sign is down or damaged and it's reported via C-Click Fix, the worker, the DPW worker, will go into that. He's monitoring that and he will address it. So I can ask the worker to start giving me feedback on, you know, how many complaints are they getting on C-Click Fix and how many are they resolving. I know the previous two workers did a very good job, you know, when they were telling me they would monitor this thing all the time.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you, Captain.
You're welcome, sir.
Final question. I know there is still a vacancy, and correct me if I'm wrong, for the sign person to put up signs around as they're approved by the Traffic Commission. That is still the case. We're still waiting for that position to be filled. And I know that's with DPW, so if you're not able to speak to that, is fine.
Perfectly good question. The DPW commissioner told me a few weeks ago that they finally filled the position. They finally hired a gentleman. So there's been a void for a few months of, in that position, but hopefully we can get it up and running again, because this person's going to have a lot of work to do.
That's exciting. I'm happy to hear that. Do you have any sense of what that backlog is like now, since it's been vacant for several months?
Well, I don't know the exact numbers. It's been vacant for several months, and just from, you know, what we approve at Traffic Commission meetings, Ms. Yaffe will type that up into a work order and pass it off to the DPW. So just in Traffic Commission new approvals, there's a significant amount of work. And then with the winter we've had, with the storms and signs getting knocked down or missing or whatever, there's just a lot of catch-up work in that arena as well. So I don't know exactly how much work. I just know that there's going to be a lot of work.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Captain, and thank you for the work that you do and the other
Thank you,
commissioners.
sir.
Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Thompson.
Good evening, Captain. Always great to see you. I think everybody up here understands and values the work that the Traffic Commission and the Traffic Division does for the city of Brockton. I just have a couple quick questions. As you stated, there's been an increase in your budget, and I just had two questions.
Sure.
Number one, on page 432, under Purchases Services, Public Safety, from fiscal year 25 to the proposed fiscal 27 budget, it's about a 100% increase. Can you tell me what is the public safety service that you're purchasing?
Sure, that's a good question, Counselor. That particular line item pays for the police officers on the line painting details.
Okay, understood. And I would imagine, oh, those are details, not, okay.
Police details
Police
for the line
details.
painting crews.
For the line painting, understood. And then secondly, the traffic lines and signs, a good increase there. Is that reflective of increased costs or more work to do?
Increased costs. The line painting, again, there's so much revolves around line painting, but the line painting company, the line painting contract went out to bid last year, and the lowest bidder was significantly higher than the previous contract. So we had to raise that line item to match the contract.
Understood. Unfortunately, costs are going up everywhere. That's all I have. Thank you, Captain. Appreciate it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor.
Item number 5, elections. Cynthia Scrivani, Executive Director.
Cynthia Hogan, Executive Director of Elections, and I would be remiss if I didn't express my sincere appreciation and gratitude for the team I have. I'm also very thankful for the election commissioners' support and dedication, especially during the very costly recount, for which they gave up a few weekends without extra pay. That being said, if the council have any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
Thank you. Counselors, questions for elections?
I have to agree with you. You do have an amazing team,
Thank you.
and I commend them. Please give my regards and my appreciation to your team. They provide excellent customer service, so thank you. Pulling from your stated objective number 5, which is to basically to educate voters. Could you just elaborate a little bit on, closer? Could you just elaborate a little bit on what the commission is doing in terms of educating voters? What programs, what outreach, or what forms are you kind of using to help to educate voters?
We plan on reaching out to some of the different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different communities, not the communities, but the different people in the different communities, reaching out to their clubs or their programs or their churches to see if, if we can come in and talk to them about how important it is to get out there and vote and how to vote.
Okay, all right. On page 264, just looking at your line item, 200,000 for polls. These are just poll workers. These are not officers, correct?
Anybody that gets paid for working on election days,
So this
Not-
include officers as well?
not police officers.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Certainly.
Mr. Chair.
Counselor Charnel?
I don't have a particular question about the budget, but in regards to the recount, I know that we went over the exact, I don't know if we ever got the exact cost with everything. And again, you don't have to get it, but I don't know if I've ever received the exact number with all the, with everything in there.
No, I haven't sent that out, and I don't have it right in front of me, but
Yeah,
it was
just when
well
you-
over $100,000.
Yeah, so, and again, just, if you can just elaborate, what do those costs do to a budget like yours? Like, does it, what kind of impact do unexpected costs sometimes can do to your budget?
I'll gladly answer that, Counselor. I work closely with Cindy because the cost for the recount far exceeded the money that was available in her budget. So some of those costs were paid. In fact, I have an updated expense report. If you just give me a second while I look for that. A large portion of those costs were paid from the law budget, because as you know, we brought a special counsel in, and we can get you the exact cost for that, but there was a significant cost to the support provided by the special counsel. And generally, the elections budget has a pretty substantial surplus, but that number for polls, of that 200,000 this year, we've spent $173,000. And a lot of that came from supporting the people that had to come back and support the recount. But Cindy did a great job of segregating those costs, and we can get that to all of you so that you have a full picture of what that cost.
Councilman Castro?
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Scarvani. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm wondering, what is the number of registered voters right now?
Off the top of my head, it's 60-something thousand.
Can you get it to me?
I can.
Okay. And what is the number of registered dogs that we issue licenses on?
I can get that to you. I don't have that
Okay.
off the top of my head.
That's fine. And I'm wondering, in the last election, do you know how many mail-in ballots were sent out?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
Okay, you'll let me know. And also, I'm wondering how many were processed.
I'll get that all to you.
And I guess you have homework. Thank you.
I welcome
And then my
homework.
last question is, the outside counsel that we used for the recounts was very impressive. And-
Phenomenal.
Yeah, what a blessing. And one of them, I understood that after it was all over, they were going to give your department a list of suggestions and observations and stuff that you could use to fine-tune your process. And I'm wondering, did they ever do that?
I'm still waiting on that. I saw them at a conference last week and spoke to them about it, and they were very apologetic and said that they would get it to me.
Good,
So
that's
now I
good.
will harass them on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Because I would like it before going forward before elections.
Yes, and we're getting to that point.
We are getting to that point. It'll be here before you know it.
I think we would all be interested to see that, too.
Any other counselors? Well, Madam Director, this was hopefully less painful than the recount.
Yes, it was much less painful, quick and painless, just how I like it. Thank
A little
you.
quicker, a
Thank
little
you.
quicker. Thank you, Madam Director.
Nice job, Cindy, thank you.
Budget number 6, Human Resources. As we said earlier, Ms. Knight is unable to join us. Laura Brathwaite-Isaac, the Assistant HR Director, is joining us tonight.
Mr. Clarkson, do you want to?
Yes, obviously, Sandra is not here due to the death of her mother, and I join the council president in offering condolences on behalf of her colleagues. I will tell you that Chief Nardelli and Chief of Staff Sidney Marrow and I were able to make an appearance on everyone's behalf at the wake today. So I am happy. I work very closely with the HR department, particularly on the issues related to health insurance. So Laura can certainly answer any operational questions, and I'm happy to answer any financial questions.
All right, counselors, Counselor Farwell?
Just very quickly, at the appropriate time, would you tell Director Knight that she and you and the staff have formed a great relationship with a number of employees representing the unions in this city? I appreciate that. I think having a very proactive and approachable human resources department can oftentimes short-circuit grievances, issues that can affect negatively employee performance. And when I hear feedback that people are approachable, they're reasonable, they're consistent, and they genuinely care, I think that speaks very well of a human resources department and the city as an organization. Now, we'll never please everybody. There will always be those people who, if they found a bag of money, they'd complain that they've got to count how much is in it. But I do want you to know that when I get that kind of feedback, I really appreciate it. And I hope you'll pass that on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate to hear that.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Castro?
Thank you. Good evening. We've exchanged emails, but we've not met. Thanks for the help you've given me.
Thank you.
On page 306, under purchase of services, the advertising budget has gone from $7,000 to nothing, and I'm wondering why.
So as part of a couple of things. One, the purchase of service in general in that statutory category, if there are advertising dollars that are necessary, they still can be used. But during the budget process, we actually talked about this. Other departments have advertising money in their budgets. A lot of outreach is done online these days, and those costs may be reflected elsewhere. So the traditional process of, say, advertising in a newspaper just doesn't occur anymore. And so it's evolving, and with it are the costs are evolving as well.
Okay, so you don't need it.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, that's interesting. It's a big change.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Ms. Isaac. I guess this is a question for our CFO. Looking at our health insurance, that's always, been an issue of increase in costs for the city. Namely, the fiscal year 25 costs was about $11 million less than the proposed budget for this year, resulting from last year about a 4.5% increase. Our health insurance costs keep rising and rising and rising. I know in the past that we talked about reinsurance to maybe help with this issue. Where are we on that, and is that still a viable option for the city?
And we do currently have reinsurance, and so the way that works, for members of the council that may not be familiar with reinsurance, we actually have an insurance policy on our health insurance. And any individual subscriber or a dependent who has a claim that's greater than, I think the tipping point right now is $425,000. So if an individual has a claim that exceeds that, we have an insurance policy that kicks in and pays the value back to us of any claims over that amount. So it's expensive. We're actually out to bid for it right now. Costs about $1 million a year, but it protects, because we're self-funded, it's an important protection measure to limit our exposure. I will tell you, and we discussed this last year, as you know, from 25 to the current year of 26, our health insurance rates increased by 14.5%, and that was very difficult to advocate for that kind of increase for our employees. But we needed to keep our self-funded health insurance program solvent. One of the self-funded health insurance groups in Massachusetts actually failed this year and folded because of the same dynamics that we faced. That 14.5%, while significant, was right about in the middle of where other public agencies and other self-funded health insurance groups were. The good news is, with that increase, we're about, as of today, about $5 million ahead of claims, meaning the money we've collected from both the city and employees is $5 million greater than the total payment for our health insurance claims. That's important so that we can keep money in that trust fund should any unforeseen circumstances happen, or should we, for some reason, need to switch and go in a different direction with health insurance. So although the increase is 4.5%, the premium increase we anticipate on July 1st is less than that. But because we've done pretty well this year, we felt comfortable with the estimate for the increase a little lower than the actual premium increase.
Is the reinsurance paid out through this line item?
No, the reinsurance is paid out through the health insurance trust fund.
Okay.
So there's not a separate appropriation for that.
Understood. Thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, Ms. Isaac and CFO. I only have one question. Why did data process and software and supply has gone up 91%?
I believe, and let me take a stab at that, Laura, and if I'm incorrect, I will get that answer for you, but I believe that that was new software that was being purchased by the HR department for some of the work that they do. Is that correct? Yes. The budget director tells me that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
There's a line item for admin assistant 2 is vacant, and there is no salary appropriation for that. Why? Is there an intent to fill that role, or?
Well, I think if you asked the two of us that question, Council, you'd get two different answers. So, yes, that is the intent, as I mentioned last night throughout this budget in several departments. There are positions that are vacant and unfunded for next year as a budget balancing measure. Tomorrow night, you'll see one of those is, in fact, in my department. But the mayor had a position that was eliminated. So, however, I will put on my Sandra Knight hat and say that the Human Resource Department has asked us to reconsider that. So we will be meeting with them soon to try to see if we can come up with some alternatives somewhere in the budget, because they feel that that's a very important position. So as it stands right now, that position is vacant and unfunded.
Thank you.
I should note, Councilor, and for all the councilors, there are 2 additional positions, if you see, that are paid for out of the trust. They are listed in the personal services line, but there is a discrepancy between the salary that you see at the top and then the requested salary in the budget, and that is because 2 of the employees are paid directly from the health insurance trust.
Thank you. You just answered my next question. I understand from Councilor Nicastro's question in regards to the advertising line item, right? It's on 0 because other departments have their own budget for advertising, and we're using online platforms to advertise, which may or may not come with a cost. could you just help me understand what's the role of HR in relation to recruiting for any position? Is HR the central hub or place where the advertising or recruitment strategy is drafted? Are you driving that, or is that at the department level?
It's HR, we drive it. However, we communicate closely with the hiring manager regarding, depends on the position, would then determine where we actually advertise, the areas we highlight. We have an online tracking system where like places like Indeed and different online services will pull our jobs and then post them other places. So we don't necessarily have to directly post on Indeed. You may see our jobs in Indeed by just the technology that's built in. But any positions that are, for example, like DPW, they may have a position that we're not getting hits on directly on our website, then we may place it on MMA, municipal, I forget, I'm still learning. MMA. So that's where we will have a conversation with the manager and to see if that is a good place to place it, and that's where some costs will come in. And the direct department will then eat those costs. Yeah. But we will post it, advertise it, come up with a summary, the ad, and different things like that.
Okay, great. Thank you. And for your HRIS, Human Resource Information System, does that include a performance review module of any kind? Do you have a centralized way for performance evaluation?
Not currently that I'm aware of. However, we have, we're in talks about building out different aspects of Munis and looking at systems to then plan to go in that direction. But as far as an online system for performance management, no.
Okay, all right. So how is the city currently conducting performance evaluations across all the departments?
Good question. I believe departments are doing it at their level. Some unions have their own performance form or measurements within the contracts. So that's held within the specific unions. However, as one centralized system for performance management across all departments, that's not currently being done.
Okay, all right. And if it's done on the department level, and if there are specific kind of things per union contracts or things of that sort, does that information eventually make its way to HR?
Yes, when they are being done, yes, we are involved in it. And also for departments that don't have necessarily, for non-union employees, I know managers meet regularly with their staff and have regular conversations and feedback. And if there's any issues, then HR is in communication with the manager. So there are active conversations happening around performance all the time. And you know, we expect also employees who will keep track of their accomplishments as well, because, you know, there are times when it's necessary for departments to highlight, or the individuals to highlight what they have accomplished and done.
Okay, all righty. I would be very interested in seeing a centralized system for performance appraisal for the city. So it's something I look forward to perhaps having some discussions about in the future, or to see some update on that as we go through the other year. So thank you, I appreciate it.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Good
Isaac.
evening.
Thank you, Dr. Clarkson. Have a good evening.
Budget number 7, Parking Authority, Eric Atkinson, Executive Director.
Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, councilors. Just want to highlight a couple things from our expense budget this year. As you may have noticed, we increased significantly compared to last year. The total amount was roughly $750,000, which is about a 63% increase in expense. This can be whittled down to basically 3 line items. The first one, under personal services, we're looking to add 3 parking control officers. The purpose of this is so that we can expand our coverage from the downtown area to do citywide enforcement of parking. This would include any handicap, fire lanes, crosswalks, et cetera, citywide. The second line is under purchase services, and I know this was addressed with other departments. We were the beneficiary of energy credits in the past. Those are no longer available to us, so we had to increase our electricity budget significantly to cover those expenses. Finally, the largest amount, this is the first time that it's been in our budget, but we have now $518,000 worth of debt service relating to the Carpenter Garage that has moved into our budget. So those 3 items in particular make up the bulk of the increase in our expense for this projected budget. With that, I will answer any questions you may have.
Councilor Green.
Thank you. Could you just help me understand a little bit on page 346 under performance measures, 100% for FY 25, 26, and target for 27 for meters replaced. Just help me understand this 100%.
Sure. Throughout the course of the year, for various reasons, meters get damaged, meters get vandalized, and our goal is to make sure that once a meter is damaged, that we fix it immediately. First year that I was in this role 5 years ago, we had a significant problem with vandalism, where we had multiple incidents over the course of extended periods of time where we didn't have the meters to replace what was damaged. So fortunately, we're not dealing with the same level now, and we're keeping up with any issues that we have.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. All right. On 349, before we get to 349, how often do you review and adjust your rates, parking rates?
Our board adjusts or reviews our rates annually. The last time that we had an increase was the beginning of last fiscal year, so they were effective July 1st, 2025. At the board meeting this year, when it was discussed, it was decided not to increase rates, but it will be reviewed again. It's usually reviewed around January so that we can let people know that the increase is coming so that they can plan accordingly with their budgets within the city.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. All right, on 349, just help me understand a little bit in regards to the retained earnings. I see 528,120 and 29.
Sure. The Parking Authority is a self-funded department, so any revenue that is generated by the Parking Authority is used to fund the next fiscal year. Over the course of time, we have been successful in our collections of revenue through monthly passes, daily rates, et cetera. Anything that's left over in our budget goes into this retained earnings. And if we don't spend it from one year to the next, that number continues to grow,
Okay.
which is why we're at the number we're at now.
Okay, alrighty. So this is essentially like a carryover from previous years?
Previous years, yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That's all. I appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else for the Parking Authority? All right. Thank you, Mr. Executive Director.
Thank you.
Budget number 8, Parks and Recreation. Tim Carpenter, Superintendent of Parks.
As is traditional, I do have a short opening statement. I would just like to take a brief moment to thank all the staff of the Park Department for their hard work and dedication to the department. The department continues to strive to make improvements to the park system as a whole, Recent highlights from this last fiscal year included the finishing of all the ARPA-funded improvements to park in every ward, and another successful year at DW Field Golf Course, grossing over $1.8 million. The park budget before you has some minimal increases overall, many of which I addressed in an email to you last week. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Councilor Tavares.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Well, I just have one question, actually, doesn't have nothing to do kind of the budget, as I have you here, regarding about Edgar Park. I've been trying to kind of literally reach out multiple times with the chief and everything else, as you know, a lot happened a couple weeks. Then in the meantime, you know, the constituent start call state representative, like, what they think, like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. But one time, literally prior to weeks, we has to walk like, you know, nighttime, me and Senator Braid, the gate was open. Is anything like, you know, you want to tell me about, like, you know, who's responsible for the gate and what time basically supposed to be closed? And then what's the plan in detail we have? No, because I'm telling you, it's just been, it's been something very serious. It's been a lot of work, it's been a lot of complaint. I learned, like, you know, so many people does sell the house and the new want to take over, but they're desperate, they couldn't stay. I just want to know how can you work with me very closely to kind of prevent those sadness.
So I received many of those same phone calls that you did. As a matter of fact, when I was on vacation, I had extensive conversations with Senator Brady from the Bahamas. So it is an issue that I know needs addressing and is somewhat difficult to address. All parks in the city are closed from dusk to dawn. All parks are. We rely on an officer to go over there and close those gates in the evening. We've replaced that chain and lock several times over the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, probably at least 4 or 5 times. It seems like maybe people are unhappy with the gates being closed in the evening, so during the course of the day, the lock and chain is taken. Those incidents over there, again, are predominantly happen after my staff has all gone home. So they are issues that, you know, I know are persistent, and I'm willing and working collaboratively with the police chief to try and address those issues.
Yeah, because sometimes late night, 11 o'clock, I get a lot of call. I close at 12, they still hang out. The gate's still open. And then second question I have, because I know it's tons of camera, but like, you know, I learned last week, like none of those cameras work. And then why we do have the cameras not working?
So as part of the ARPA project, we did redo the electrical system at Edgar's. The existing one was probably put in the 50s, and it scared me half to death. Just with how it functioned and the amount of power that it was in that box. That power has now been restored, and I know IT is working on getting those cameras within the park back functioning.
And then I like, you know, basically if you can buy a monitor by the police office department, like, you know, for example, especially late night, they still hang out, they will see that. I think that's something if you guys can work with me on this issue, I'd be more than appreciating to save even I'm telling you, I will be more than happy if that happened. Because I know, Chief, we have that conversation multiple times. I know the lock has been, you know, every time you guys replace new, like they're breaking it again, breaking in, like, you know, it's not easy, I understand that. But in the day, we have room owners, you know, they work hard, they have a family, they're scared to do that. And it's just not right. You know, it's just not right because in the day they work hard to pay tax, and then we need to work our best that we can to kind of help them, especially when it comes to safety. And I'd be much appreciated to see those cameras been monitored by the police department. And then again, the gate must be locked, like when the time is right. You know, I don't want to get the call like all the night for the same thing again. And if calls doesn't mean nothing, the harassment, you know. And the next day they call the senator office like almost every day. And, you know, it's just I need you guys to work with me a little bit.
Absolutely.
Councilor Charnel.
Thank you for being here. In your budget, I do see, a lot of vehicles. I know that recently they procreated money to replace the golf carts. Some of the other equipment, are those on a replacement plan? As those, what are we doing as things age? How are we anticipating on replacing them and not having it be like a fire drill?
Right. So recently, with the support of the council and the CFO's office, we did bond out some monies for equipment. So we've replaced a fair amount of equipment at both the golf course. We will be replacing 2 pickup trucks, one for the golf course and one for the Parks Department. Smaller equipment, we try and manage through our general line items to replace mowers and whatnot as needed.
And just my other questions are, so I know the parks, do the parks qualify for any grants or anything from Massachusetts or the federal government in regards to, upkeep, keeping it revitalized, and different things? So again, I'm just asking because.
So generally, grants will pay for capital improvements to parks, new swing sets, new play equipment, benches, infrastructure kind of things. In terms of the general upkeep, there aren't a lot of grants, at least that I've found, that would help facilitate any of that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Farwell, followed by Counselor Green.
Councilors, I don't have a question, but I'm always fascinated by the history of this city. On January 7th, 1968, the general foreman for the Park Department began his service to this city. His name is Russell Muniz. He probably is the longest-serving employee now because we have lost Howard Newton. And for those who think that you get rich working for the city, Mr. Muni's grand total salary with his longevity is $80,795. That's what 58 years of service gets you, and along with the joy of working with Superintendent Carpenter every year. So I mention that because to me that's a milestone. I hope you'll pass on to him our thanks for his longtime faithful service. He's, if you look at what he would receive in retirement, he must enjoy his work because he's working for literally dollars.
Correct. And I will pass on that word. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Counselor Green.
Mr. Carpenter, on page 356, under the performance measures for FY '27, you noted 6 under line titled Maintenance Equipment Purchased. Are these the equipments that bond went out for?
These would not be.
Okay.
So that was not included.
Okay. Could you just elaborate on exactly what these equipments are?
So generally speaking, I sometimes refer to it as the park side and the golf side. We have been fairly successful in updating equipment on the golf side. It's much more specialized. This is really for the park side. We are a staff of 6, and each of those guys needs a mower every single day. I sort of equate, let's say, March through October as it's snowing every day, 1/4 of an inch at a day. Because that's basically what we're facing. That's how the grass grows. And that is, we are in need of replacing our mowers. So that number reflects basically larger items such as mowers, leaf vacs, those kind of larger pieces of equipment.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you. On page 360, there is a line item for consultants, $10,000. It's 50% less than FY '26. Could you just elaborate what are we using consultants for?
So that line item is used for, as you know, there are 7 impoundments in DW Field Park. 6 of them are the responsibility of the Park Department. Brockton Reservoir Dam is DPW. So we use the consultant's line item to pay for the annual inspections. This number was reduced based on the schedule. Depending on the classification of the dam and its hazard factor, it is, will determine how often that impoundment needs to be inspected. So this number was reduced based on that schedule, knowing what we have coming up this fiscal year.
Okay, all righty. And are we likely to see this go back up in FY '28?
We are, simply because of the rotation of how often dams need to be inspected. Should a dam that is currently considered a fair condition dam then be re-rated to a poor condition dam, then that inspection interval will be shortened. So that line item can change, yes.
Okay, great, great. On the park side, do we have any capital projects planned, or are we thinking of anything in the near future, meaning in the next 3 years or so, for park improvement?
Right. So as I sort of stated in my opening, there was a park in every ward that just sort of got touched, completed, updated through the ARPA funding. We are currently working a $200,000 earmark for Puffer's Playground, which was one that was not addressed through the ARPA funding. So we are hoping to have that addressed and some updates planned at that park by the end of this calendar year. We are coming to the completion of our MVP grant to do some conceptual design work for the roadway through DW Field Park to address significant stormwater management issues. Part of that redesign, we're hoping to address some safety issues as well between vehicles and pedestrians. So we're sort of maximizing the conceptual design through that process. So we will continue to seek grants to make improvements to the parks throughout the city.
Thank you, thank you. I've heard nothing but wonderful and positive things about your leadership and the work in parks and recreation. So thank you for your service, and thank you to your team as well. I appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Nacastro.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for talking with me earlier today.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you to recite the numbers we talked about for DW Field Golf, residents versus non-residents who use the course.
Sure. So this report that I generated actually today, around 9:45 this morning, this report runs from, I guess, this current fiscal year that we are just sort of finishing up. So from July 1st to today, the resident usage rate of paid greens fees rounds. Now, this is daily greens fees rounds. This doesn't include permit rounds, which are a little more difficult to track. This is daily greens fee rounds. The resident usage was 3,994 paid greens fees. The non-resident usage was 12,560. So as you can see that it's 3/4 non-residents that are predominantly using the golf course. That is, in a certain light, that is beneficial. We do offer a lower rate to residents, so the non-resident higher usage does generate more revenue.
And do you offer instructional clinics with your pro?
So the gentleman who I should say it's a company, because it is technically a company, that operates the pro shop, does offer lessons on an individual basis. He also runs clinics for veterans. He's partnered with the ARC of the South Shore and Brockton area ARC to run sort of monthly clinics for special needs. And he has run first tee programs over there as well as junior PGA programs.
That's terrific. And what are the hours of the cafe?
So the lunchroom is open basically predominantly most of the time that the golf course is open. First tee on weekdays is right around 7 o'clock. They'll open right around that same time. We usually try and have all the carts in off the golf course by dusk. So generally the lunchroom is open till just shy of dusk.
That's great. But I hope you have a good season. Sounds like you're going to.
So far this season, we are slightly ahead of where we were last year. Last year, we actually opened the golf course 2.5 weeks prior. In March, we opened last year. This year, we didn't open till April.
It wasn't a good spring.
But we are still approximately $50,000 ahead of where we were last year.
That's terrific. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. That's all I see for parks.
Item number 9, cemetery. Tim Carpenter, Superintendent of Parks.
Good evening, Mr. Superintendent.
Good evening, councilors. If you'll allow me just a moment here again. I would like to take a moment to thank all of my staff, the cemetery department, for their dedication and service to the city and its residents. The department remains committed to meeting the needs of our residents. In the current fiscal year, we have done over 315 burials, with the vast majority of those being at the Melrose, but also performing some at Cohasset and Union Cemetery. Cemetery budget before you does contain a couple of increases in specific line items, of which I'm happy to discuss at any point.
On page 166, the planned expansion for Melrose Cemetery, what are you anticipating for increased capacity with that expansion?
So it will slightly depend on how we lay out that area. If it is singles, we would expect probably 7 to 10 years. If it's doubles or triples, that time period will probably shorten somewhat. Our most popular choice of graves right now is doubles.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Nice job, Tim. Thank you.
Budget number 10, procurement. Michael Morris, Chief Procurement Officer.
Good evening, councilors. I will be brief since I have such a small budget. During this past year, FY '26 has been extremely busy for our office. We conducted 178 procurements via bids, RFPs, and quotes. We also created the 178 contract documents that were required as a result of these procurements being greater than $10,000. The FY '27 budget request that you have in front of you is made up of 96% of personal services, non-overtime, with a very small amount of funds for the purchase of goods and services, which is exactly the same as last year, a level request. And I will take any questions.
Counselors, Counselor Farwell.
First of all, Mr. Morris runs a department with absolute integrity and pays very careful attention to detail, and that is a huge benefit to the city. My question is, how are we doing with school procurement? I know you have worked with the schools closely. We have made a lot of progress. I assume that is still true. Are they coming up to speed with, for example, the standards that you set?
Yes, they are. I think they've made vast improvements. I still provide guidance and assistance from time to time, but they have hired 2 individuals. Their titles are school procurement managers, and they're both doing excellent.
All right. I'm going to guess Counselor Green.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. You are a department of 3, correct?
Yes, sir.
3, and 1 is funded through ARPA funds. Is that
Partially.
correct?
Partially.
Partially?
Yes.
Okay, already.
That's through December, Counselor.
You just answered my question, so thank you, through December. Thank you so much, I appreciate that.
Real good team. Nice
Thank
job,
you.
Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11, Law Department, Attorney James O'Brien, City Solicitor.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the City Council, to those in the council chambers and those at home. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present the Law Department's proposed budget for fiscal year 2027. I'm fairly new to this position, still referred to as the new guy, still learning the ropes, so to speak. And that being said, I could not begin my opening remarks tonight without first recognizing and thanking the members of our outstanding team who have supported me through this transition. Their knowledge, experience, and professionalism has made this transition an easy one. Our attorneys, John Fisher and Zachary Lionheart, have done excellent work representing the city and assisting the many departments we support. I want to thank them for their hard work, dedication, and collaboration. I'd also like to thank our dedicated staff, Michelle Yaffe, Cynthia Olivier, Austin Bautista, and Sylvia Cavallo in licensing. They do much work behind the scenes that sometimes goes unnoticed, and I truly appreciate their efforts. To quickly summarize the role of the Law Department, we serve the city as Brockton's in-house legal team, defending the city, providing timely professional advice to the mayor, the city council, boards, commissions, and all departments, and represent the city's interests across a wide range of municipal matters. Many of our work is litigation and transactional. With respect to litigation, we defend the city in all sorts of lawsuits, civil rights, personal injury, contracts. We also provide government services. We review contracts and agreements, advise on policies. We respond to many public record requests. And we also provide legal support to the schools, the police, and the fire department. We also do a fair amount of transactional work, and this is important behind the scenes work that typically does not find itself in the courtroom. And all of these helps prevent unnecessary litigation, keeps the city government running smoothly and effectively. Now, I'm proud of the work that our team does every day, and I want to show you how we're delivering strong legal services to the city while also providing very disciplined, and while being also very disciplined with taxpayer dollars. I'd like to start with the big picture of the budget. For fiscal year 2026, the Law Department's proposed general fund budget was over $7 million. For fiscal year 2027, we're proposing a $5,230,000 budget, which is a 25.3% decrease from last year. One of the biggest reasons for the drop is the management of our personnel lines. We currently have 3 vacant positions, and this is part of the budget balancing efforts of the city. However, our analysis shows that these vacancies will generate between $386,000 and $455,000 in annual savings, and this includes salaries and benefits, which comes out to approximately a savings of $418,000 a year. And over 3 years, if it's consistent, it could save the city over $1 million. We do handle a majority of the in-house work, which keeps costs down. Right now, we're actively managing probably 290 cases, which consist of litigation, labor matters, insurance claims, and ongoing projects as well. And historically, the Law Department does and has used outside counsel. Now we are using outside counsel for our code enforcement, and there are roughly 65 newly filed enforcement cases. We see this as a smart investment, not just an expense. And we do this in line with the new code enforcement ordinance that was recently passed, and now we're in a position to capture a significant portion of the fees and fines from these cases. By partnering with outside counsel to handle the volume efficiently, we can move faster while turning these matters into a revenue generator for the city. And we also have, I would say, more accountability in this area, because if we don't get results, then we can always move on in a different direction. This receivership program is a collaborative effort across many departments, including the building department, assessing, treasurers, and finance, and we're all going to work together to make this a success. We expect that this approach will deliver a strong return on investment in the current year and years ahead. This work ties directly into the mayor's key initiatives and priorities of the receivership program. We anticipate 5 receiverships will be filed in the next couple of weeks and targeting 10 or more by the end of the year. Together with a stronger code enforcement, we're helping to beautify and stabilize the neighborhoods and improve the quality of life across Brockton. In short, our budget, and I apologize if I'm long-winded, but I wanted to make a point about the budget. It shows a lean, effective, forward-looking law department. We're trying to protect the city's interests, deliver real savings, while strategically using outside counsel to generate new revenue through the code enforcement cases. And so with that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and I thank you for the time and the opportunity to appear before you.
Councilor Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. Solicitor.
Good evening.
I want to compliment you on outsourcing the code enforcement litigation. That seems to be a very good procedure, and it's actually increasing the revenue in the city. Do you continue expanding this?
So we're using outside counsel to actively and aggressively take on these cases and some of the receivership. And it was done in conjunction with the change in the ordinance. And we're able to now, as we move forward, the city of Brockton will be able to capture these fees and expenses. And, to the credit of many department heads, the CFO, building, assessing, treasurers. It's going to be a program that we're all going to be working together so we can capture these, fees for the city. And then when ultimately these properties are sold or transferred, however, beautified, then those savings will come back to the city. So we hope it's in its infancy, but we're hoping that we'll see some, real good numbers maybe by the end of next year or the beginning of 2027.
That's
So
great,
thank you
sir.
for your
Thank
question.
you very much, and
Thank you.
also the department has to contribute to this. I think it's great for the future of the city and revenue-wise, and also cleaning up the city. But again, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilors?
Thank you, and thank you for these details on number of cases and, the changes that you've made. So you've reduced the number of attorneys in your department by 25%, right? So there were seven attorneys. There are now three unfunded vacancies.
Yes.
Right? Okay. The 297 cases, is that a reasonable, manageable workload for the remaining 4 attorneys in your office?
I believe it is. Some of them, they can be fast-moving, not a piece of litigation that might go on for 3 years with a 2-week trial. These could be quicker things that could be resolved. Typically, zoning cases are quicker, but I do think, John, the attorneys in the office, I think are seasoned attorneys. We work very well together collaboratively, and I believe that these are cases that, we should be able to handle in-house.
Okay.
And of those matters, I apologize for interrupting, but not all those matters are, say, litigation. There are other matters that might be open that are, employment-related matters, labor matters that aren't necessarily in the courts, but they're still something that we do deal with.
Okay, all right. The 65 cases that you're outsourcing, are you only outsourcing code enforcement cases, or are you outsourcing other cases as well?
There are other cases that are with outside counsel, and they've been with outside counsel for a while, so there are, I believe, 13 open litigation cases with outside counsel. And Many, if not all, preceded me, but I can check for you if you'd like.
Okay, all right.
They've been in litigation for a while.
Okay, all right. But your intent is not to outsource any other case other than code enforcement cases?
Yeah, I don't anticipate, there might be one that comes to, there might be one that might go out, depending. I don't know them, there hasn't been a decision made, but a lot of times if they go out, they're cases that have been worked up, so to speak, by our attorneys as far as motion hearings, discovery, that sort of thing. And sometimes it might get referred out to outside counsel, but that's a determination that we'd have to make down the line. There are some that are out, and I have had conversations with some of the attorneys, and I will say that Attorney Stefanillo has been very successful recently with filing motions on behalf of the city and getting certain claims dismissed. So I do have to acknowledge his great work
Okay,
in defending the city.
sure. Could you just help me understand what criteria you take into account when you're referring something out to outside counsel? Is it the type of case, the nature of the case? Are you looking at the expertise that resides within your department or lack thereof? Just help me understand what you consider. And I'm just wondering if those things that you consider currently exist among the remaining attorneys, and that's why you do not anticipate outsourcing anything other than code enforcement.
Yeah, that's why there are some that we're reviewing right now that we might, and it might be one that would get referred outside, but when it comes to evaluating, it would be on, based upon that attorney's expertise. Some of these attorneys have had long-standing relationships with the city. That's what I've come to find out. And expertise, plays a huge role. I would say hourly rate as well. And as far as who you might retain, reputation. I know that, Councilman Castro, you talked about KP Law, so, they were, integral in the voting recount. And I know, I was listening earlier, and I can check with Dr. Clarkson, but I think the KP legal fee was over $70,000. Was it the legal fee or just other expenses? I didn't see the bill. Okay, yeah, okay. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a projected cost for outside counsel handling these 65 cases?
So I would say that I don't have a projected cost. We did increase our outside counsel line item, and it was kind of increased by, you could basically say a salary of one of the assistant city solicitor line items that wasn't the vacancy. So we kind of took that money, increased the outside counsel budget. I don't have a number, but I do know that, including the KP, the 71,000 that we kind of calculate, at least in-house, for.
You mean what we've spent this year?
So I think what we've spent this year,
I got it.
or since January, including that, has been, I think, $178,000, including the KP bill that came out of the law office.
Okay, and remind me again, the KP bill is?
For the
for the recount?
The election, yeah, the recount, yeah. And that came out of the law office. I would defer to Dr. Clarkson on that amount.
Okay. What's the total number again? I'm sorry. The,
200.
including the KP?
Is it?
One.
I'm sorry.
One,
What is it?
7?
It was 71,000, I believe, the KP bill.
KP, the total amount spent for legal, which is outside counsel.
Yep.
For this year is $278,000.
Okay. And that's inclusive of the 71 for
Yeah.
the KP? For
And
the
I can
other-
double check that amount for council. I can double check that amount.
Alrighty. And what are you anticipating for subsequent years for code enforcement cases? So currently, we have 65, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are you
I'm hoping that over the years, they would decrease. I'm hoping that with the receivership program and, aggressive code enforcement, that if we take an active role now, that we'll see fewer and fewer as the years progress, especially with receivership, because if we go in and take a piece of property by receivership, to have, somebody responsible who can come in, beautify it, fix it up, hopefully it would have a chain reaction effect to other people in the neighborhood around the block, that they would like to, kind of do the same and keep their property, up to code as well.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you, Mr. Solicitor.
Oh, thank you
Appreciate
very
that.
much. Thank you for your questions.
Good evening, Mr. O'Brien.
Good evening.
Thank you. On page 321, expense summary, there are 2 line items for court judgments. The first one is under goods and supplies, and it was funded in FY 2025. It was not funded in FY 26 or 27. And then down below that, there's a separate line item, court judgments. It was $1.5 million last year, and this year there's nothing. And I wanted to ask why that is.
I believe, and if I'm incorrect, I defer to Dr. Clarkson, but I believe the 1.5 were payments that were made on 2 cases.
Right.
I believe one was the Choi case,
Yes.
and then there was another one as well, and it might, hold on, bear with me, In Good Health, which is a settlement that took place a few years ago, so I know that there's 300 or so thousand that's paid annually, and I think it's paid, I had the agreement, for the next couple of years.
The solicitor is correct, and so that second case is reflected in FY '27 in the out-of-court settlements
Right.
line.
Up above.
And there was a large settlement for this year that we paid, but I don't think this is real wood, but I'm going to knock anyway. We don't anticipate at this time anyway, any large settlements that will need to be paid. If that occurs, then we'll come back to you for a transfer.
I had understood the Choi case settlement was being paid over 3 years. Has it been satisfied in full now?
I will check for you.
Yeah, I believe the answer to that question is yes, but let us check for
I had the
sure.
agreement with me,
Yeah.
and I apologize, I think I left it in
That's
my
all right.
office.
So you're not anticipating court judgments this year with your fingers and toes crossed, and that's why you're not asking for anything on those line items?
Not at the moment. I've had discussions with outside counsel, and it appears that, some of these cases are moving along. They're in the discovery phase, which is sometimes timely. Are some ripe for settlement? They might be down the road. And if that ever comes up, then I would come before you. But
Have to.
I know that. But I don't have any position that anything is gonna, there's no trial set, but we can always settle if it's cost effective, or if, the facts are, basically say that we should maybe settle a case. But, I don't anticipate anything, major in the near future.
Okay, and if there is, you'll come back.
I will have to.
I understand. Thank you.
Item 12, License Commission, under Attorney James O'Brien, City Solicitor.
You're not done yet.
Almost. Good evening,
Sorry.
Mr. Solicitor.
Law Department, we provide direct legal and administrative support to the commission, reviewing agendas and advising on legal compliance. And as far as the budget goes, it appears that I think there's a 3% increase, and I believe that is due to a salary adjustment in our licensing staff. But I open the floor to any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Solicitor. Thank you for being here. So, I was recently on the License Commission, so, I think one of the things in my 9 years on the commission for as chairman, one of the things that we started to lack towards the end is, the solicitor being involved with some of the technical things, because I think what people don't understand is that, licensing isn't just about, bars and restaurants and stuff like that. It's about laws, and, I'm no lawyer like, some of my colleagues and yourself. So it really does take a lot to grab hold and understand, some of these things. And it's really, as your tenure goes, you really start to educate yourself. So the question is, there's going to be, there's some newer members, there's some, very seasoned people on the License Commission. What are you doing to support, some of the newer members so they can get up to speed, and be, more involved in trying to resolve some of the things that happen in and around the licensing in the city?
I've had the opportunity to speak with the chair. I have not personally spoken with the other members since I've been here, but I have spoken to him on numerous occasions about matters that have arisen, and we do have, we do support, represent them in licensing hearings, anything that gets appealed to the ABCC. But other than speaking with the chair, I have not had the opportunity to speak with the other members, but I will reach out to them. There have been some matters that we've researched for them on their behalf that I can share with you, if you'd like. Some procedures and processes that they want to implement. So we have had discussions with them about that, and we've done some research on the topic, and in fact, would probably present it to the board as a whole sometime fairly soon.
And just one of my other things is, we used to have an attorney at most of the meetings. I know with budget cuts and stuff, that's probably not, feasible anymore, but it would be great if there was at least an open line of communication for all members to know that, if they did have a question, they can go to your office and get it answered. So I don't know if maybe holding a, an informal forum of such where people can, ask or know what questions to ask, because I mean, like I said, some of the stuff is pretty technical, it's, and to be very honest, some of the stuff is more for a lawyer than it is for your average citizen, even myself, even though I feel like towards the end there, I felt like a specialist. But, towards the beginning, it really were, the Hank Tattaglias and, some of the other people that were on the commission that kind of stewarded me along to make sure that I understood some of these things, because I think on the commission, what people don't understand is that, these are people's real livelihoods, right? So, a restaurant owner, a person that owns a beer and wine, that's how they feed their family. So it's not always how you come down with the hammer. I understand if people are doing, solicit acts and, causing disturbances in the community, in the neighborhoods and stuff like that. Yeah, let's close those businesses and get rid of those owners. But things happen in these businesses. Right. When you're consuming alcohol, things can happen. The only thing, when I was on the commission, the only thing I would mention was that you'd had to wait for something to happen, because if you're not running your business properly or you're lackadaisical, something's bound to happen with that business. But one of the other things is sometimes some of the meetings I've attended, and I think this where you can add some value. It seems like some of the commissioners are not staying focused on the licensing aspect and more of, outside things like, I don't have an exact example, but, I think the License Commission should be focused on licensing matters, not, particular, milk permits and stuff like that. I mean, we should focus on, or a cigarette, or stuff that's related to the health department. It's the License Commission, so it should be particularly on what impacts that. And I think that with your leadership, you can maybe, help us, or no longer me, but help the commission focus on that stuff, because, to be very honest, I got off track sometimes and would be worried about it and had to rein myself in and say, hey, this is the License Commission, not the Traffic Commission, not this, not that. We have to rely on our partners for some of those other things. But Mr. President and Solicitor, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
We can look around the country and see where, unfortunately, alcohol and late-night parties don't mix. And listen, I love a good time. Yeah, I like a drink every once in a while, but I am concerned from a public safety standpoint of 3 a.m. and what that could lead to for the city of Brockton. So if you would just be sensitive to that, I'd appreciate it.
I will.
Councilor Green.
Quickly, on 325, I'm just wondering, the part-time salaries, 21,500. What are those for? Is that to support members from your team, or what?
No, that's the commission's salaries. Has nothing, that's not, are you talking about the law department separately, or, I'm sorry?
License Commission.
Oh.
Yeah. The license commissioners themselves are paid, and so that's the pay for them.
Okay, and what's the stipend for? This is back in FY25. What was that for?
That was the same, and so for this year's budget and next year, that it was switched to properly place it where it belongs. It's really not a stipend. Those are part-time employees that get taxes taken out of them, and so it's more properly listed as a part-time salary than a stipend.
Got it. Thank you.
See nothing else for the License Commission.
Budget number 13, Public Property. William Forte, Interim Building Commissioner of Buildings.
Thank you for having me. Just a quick introduction to this year's fiscal budget proposal. So we have, the biggest thing you'll notice is there is an increase from last year. There's a $200,000 added line item that was in our budget in FY24 and then taken out. We, again, took advantage of the solar credits that were paying the electric bills for all public buildings. This money ran out last year. As you might recall, just earlier this season, I was before this council to ask for a transfer of $150,000 from personal services to to pay for the electric bills that were kind of backlogged since last year. So the budget actually didn't increase compared to what it was in '24. So that line item is put back in because we don't have any more solar credits. We have eliminated just a few changes in the department. We have eliminated one wiring inspector. We had one retire back in December. We have not replaced that position because we feel that the demand has gone down quite a bit. So permits are down a little bit, but we're still doing the same amount of work with 2 wiring inspectors, and that's sufficient. We added a plumbing position and reduced an electrician position in the maintenance department by 1. So it was 1 for 1 there. So we now have 2 electricians and 1 plumber. We've had a plumber out on workers' comp for quite some time, and so we traded that position for for a plumber rather, and we now have an active plumber who's doing exceptional work here for the city. The vacant and abandoned positions are funded, but they're not being filled until we reconfigure or restructure our ordinance, the way that the funds are collected. I know that we increased the fees. There's been changes to the ordinance. And our code enforcement inspectors, we now have a pretty strong team of about 4 that will be able to take this inventory under the new restructuring of the vacant property ordinance, working alongside with both the city solicitor, the city CFO, and an outside counsel for receivership. So those positions are there, but they're not funded until we know what's going on with them. We've added 2 additional code enforcement positions and are making great progress with our new staff. You'll see that there'll be a significant visible difference in properties and our response time to complaints. We have a very strong team of 3. We had 1 just leave recently, but we'll be replacing that position very shortly. And we have our city divided up into quadrants now. So we have twice as many code enforcement officers doing a way more efficient job under our new management structure here with the ISD department. We've added 2 new custodians, and I think cleaning has been noticeably improved. They certainly would let me know if it wasn't, but we are making bigger strides, and we have more personnel so that we can get to places and clean more frequently. We're getting a great value with our chief of health inspections, Jim Doucette. His position was not filled after he moved up to chief of health inspections, and he is still actively pursuing cases while managing the entire health staff and code enforcement staff. I'd like to throw a shout out to him. He's doing a fantastic job, and I just wanted to mention that because we eliminated 1 sanitary inspector and we cut another position down, we're able to acquire these new positions. Improvements to City Hall are active and ongoing. You can see on a daily basis that we're here quite often. We're remodeling the bathrooms in the basement. We're adding a greeting booth or an information booth in the basement just underneath the stairway on the bottom floor. We're going to take one of our admins and actually put him there, and he's going to be directing people when they come into the building. Most of the people enter into the basement, and we're going to have an information, more of a concierge, if you will. That person will still be under the direction of the ISD department, but will serve the entire City Hall as a greeter, if you will. War Memorial renovations will be going on the 2nd floor starting very soon. That's for the Health and Human Services Department. That'll be the new location, as the mayor has proposed. And our office hours have changed for trade inspectors to better accommodate the construction industry. So we have great many more improvements to come. I will be bringing those to you through social media over the next few months. And I'm happy to answer any questions about this year's proposed budget. So thank you.
What's your involvement with the new public safety building?
So currently, we do not have care, custody, and control of that. The current, both the fire chief and the police chief, IT and emergency management are working out to acquire a new director of maintenance over there. It would be a facilities director, someone who can watch, it's a very large complex. It requires daily attention. We have been providing minimal support over there for, custodian, maybe services. We've helped to write a job description over there, and I would assume that until we have a contract locked down, we'll be providing support services for any number of things. Could be anything from custodial supplies to perhaps changing out filters. I am trying to work on a training program with the contractor to at least have some idea of what is going on over there. I don't know what the future of the maintenance and care of the building will be, but the Inspection Services Department is ready to provide any support services short of what might be missing at the moment.
Do we have a contract in place for the public safety building?
There is, I believe, I'd have to double check if it's actually been signed. For custodial services, there was an RFP and a contractor chosen. I don't know if the contract has been signed yet, but it's imminent if it hasn't.
Okay, all right, all right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, Mr. Superintendent, you do not have the capacity, as it stands now, to provide the requisite services for the new public safety building?
I wouldn't say that I lack the ability to be able to step in at this moment. We haven't, again, there was a service contract out there. I think it came in kind of high, and there's some hesitation as to its value, you know, for a yearly service contract. It's outrageous. And one of the alternatives that we looked at was the ability to be able to come in and at least diagnose and provide call services when needed. So, you know, I mean, obviously, if there's any problem, it's a brand new building, right? But it's not a self-cleaning oven, as I said before. It does require regular, you know, and you know, constant attention. But I would say that the first person they're going to call is us, and we will be there on the ready. So whatever problem it is, regardless of whether or not an AC unit is down or something is malfunctioning, we will be the contact that they call, and we will be in contract with the contractor who is still obligated under warranty. That warranty, I would expect, is going to run out, but I'm not exactly sure when. I haven't issued a full certificate of occupancy. I was told by the prior city solicitor that the warranty starts when a full C of O is issued, but in my experience, I don't know if that's true, because usually it's substantial completion, which would have been last October. So I think the clock is ticking over there, and I am working on a plan to at least have a minimal operational understanding of the building to be able to step in as needed. So I have no doubt that, you know, you'll be calling me and I'll be helping out, so.
As a part of this process and putting a plan in place for the care and the maintenance of this new building, did you consider the option or a scenario where additional hires are made in the building department to provide those services to this new building? And would that scenario be a more cost-effective one in comparison to the RFP that went out?
To answer the first question, yes, we did consider it. I will say it was prior to Mr. Forty being part of the team, and under the prior leadership of the department, there were some performance concerns which did lead us away from a model that would look at public property maintaining the building. We may consider that in the future, but as I noted earlier when the police chief was here, and what Mr. Forty just shared with you mirrors the comments that I made when we were on that budget. Because the equipment is highly technical and specialized, it does require more than traditional maintenance, which is why we were looking for a firm to do that. But Bill is correct, the costs were prohibitive. And so the plan is to come back to the council and create an ordinance position to be a facility manager. But to be clear, if we had that sort of position, I think every public sector job description I've ever seen has a clause at the bottom that says other duties as assigned. So even if we did hire a facility manager for the public safety building, that person would still be an employee of the city of Brockton and be available to support Bill and his department as needed.
And if I might elaborate that on a little bit more, you know, some of this equipment that's under warranty over there is specialized and requires a certain amount of maintenance every year to uphold that warranty. If it's a 5-year warranty on a rooftop unit, that has to be serviced by a qualified technician. We can't just send our guys in there and say, well, you know, I got an oil burner guy who's really good at HVAC. It doesn't work. So what I see us doing quite possibly is the first year just working out with the technicians that installed some of the specialized equipment to service that. That's where and that's why a facilities director is important, to be able to look at this equipment, see what the service requirements are. I mean, walls are not going to crumble, and, you know, a lot of things don't need a lot of help over there, but the equipment is highly technical and requires experts to maintain it and to make sure. So we are working on a solution with that, and I think that we can come up with a way more cost-effective way of dealing with the building in at least the first 2 to 3 years. I think after that, once the 2 or 3 years has gone by, then we can probably just, you know, have one director over there who is familiar with the yearly maintenance program. But it's a big building, and it's, like I say, it's not a self-cleaning. It's going to require some technical, you know, some technical expertise, so.
Okay, all righty. So the contract that's on the table now, that's being considered, how long is that contract for?
I believe, I'll get you all the details on the contract and have it for you for tomorrow night's meeting, but I believe it's 3 years.
Thank you both.
Thank you. So page 411, stadium purchase of services. So where are we with the stadium?
The prior administration had put a pretty good amount of money into improvements with the stadium. Some of the infrastructure that was paid for over the past couple of years is kind of a one-time thing. This year, our expenses are not that big. We're not providing extra services that aren't in the contract. The team is obligated to take care of the inside of the stadium. They've been pretty much living up to their end of the bargain. We're not shifting a great deal of funds into the building. It's whatever the minimum requirements are to keep the building running. We have fire inspections every year, elevator inspections, you know, some upkeep and maintenance. We're improving the Shaw Center. The mayor has allowed the public to rent the Shaw Center for certain things. We're getting revenue for that. So I don't think you're going to see another year like you did in 2024, I think it was, where we had to rebuild the detention system for all the drains. I don't see those kinds of significant investments having to be made over the next year, at least, as far as I can see. And there's nothing there that really requires repair. I mean, could it use a facelift? Absolutely. It could probably use $3 or $4 million worth of facelift, but we're not doing that this year. And the money is going into other places where it belongs, like City Hall and, you know, things that, you know, that people see every day. So you know, I would say that that's,
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate the mayor putting the Shaw Center back online. The community really needs somewhere to hold, you know, nonprofits and to hold events, so
We're
that's
booked all
really-
summer over there. We're doing really well with it, so.
Yes, no,
yeah.
it looks beautiful. I saw it last time. It looks really great. I just want to make sure that we're, you know, that we're in there regularly, because what we saw back, I believe it was it 2017, 19? 18 or 19, when we went in there, was that when it was, Mr. President? It was really awful, and it was because we hadn't kept, you know, we weren't in there, and the tenants that were in there at the time really let the stadium go, and it cost the city a lot of money, so I just don't want to see that happen again.
Yeah, it's very functional now and cleaned up, and it's being used to its, you know, maybe not to its highest potential, but it certainly is being used, and I'm sure that we'll see that with the watch party coming and all that stuff, but we're in good shape.
Great, that's good to hear. Thank you very much.
Mr. Commissioner, just a couple of things. So I know you said that permit fees were down. In the budget book, I don't see any where the permit fees, the revenue is generated. And if permit fees are down, what, percentage-wise, I know you probably can't give me the exact, but percentage-wise, and what do you think is creating the slope to?
Yeah, so thank you, Council. It's a great question. So there's been an economic turn down across the entire Commonwealth. We're not the only ones. In fact, my prior municipality that I worked for, Waltham, which was one of the lab meccas of the state, is now down in revenue quite significantly. And it's not just Brockton that's feeling it. There are other cities and towns that are not bringing in the same permit revenue that has been over that. We've enjoyed a pretty robust construction industry over the past 3 or 4 years. Part of what is doing that now is the amount of money that costs for material. Material has gone up significantly, and there's been no economic recovery. I know that you know that there are processes in which we could make it quicker and easier to get permits. I would say that we're working toward the efficiency of being able to issue permits as soon as possible when they get there. So the amount of permits that we have issued this year is down about maybe 10% from last year. In addition to that, we're not seeing the major projects that are coming through. I know in the past that we haven't really audited some of these permit fees that are coming in for these larger projects. That's one of the things that I'll be doing this year is I'm going to take a very good look at what people are reporting for construction costs. I know that it has not been accurate in the past. I can't speak for the prior, for my predecessor, but I will just tell you that under my administration, I'll be looking at that more carefully, and I probably will be recommending some changes to the ordinance wording and maybe a slight increase in commercial fees for the city. I feel as though we're a little bit outdated, and the city has absorbed those inflationary costs over the years without increasing fees. So I will be working on some proposed changes that will increase permit revenue, but I think for the most part, we are the victim of everybody else in the state. It's just, construction is just not robust like it was 2 years ago, so.
Thank you. My other question is, it seems like, you know, the building department is trying to make building easier in the city, which I've never heard before. In my tenure, I was on the zoning board for some time too, and I've never heard this. So can you just elaborate on some of the more efficiencies that you are bringing? I know, I mean, someone mentioned to me, and again, I think this is to benefit that, you know, they've been building in the city for over 15 years and have never saw the building commissioner's office. They've never been invited in. And it seems like, you know, your office is actually inviting builders, developers, you know, speculative people into your office, which seems to be, you know, working. Again, we're up against building costs, rate increases, you know, lending credit crunches and, you know, rating issues. So it seems like you're trying to make an effort to kind of do what you can within the confines of government.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that. I will accept that as a compliment. And yes, you know, a lot of what we do at ISD is, you know, we're public servants first. We're not dictators. We don't deflect. I think it's important for every person and my staff to know that it's not, you know, it's not a right to be a city employee. It's a privilege. And that privilege comes with the responsibility of making sure that we're being helpful to the very end of whatever we are capable of doing. I would say that my department has a history of being, you know, maybe not so public friendly. And with the mayor's, you know, the mayor's plan for economic drive is in line or is aligned with public relations. If a person can't get some sureties or be able to take a temperature reading on a project, why would they come to the city and invest? And you know, what I've tried to do is open up the avenues so that a person can come and pre-flight a project and not feel afraid that, you know, they're going to spend all this money going to the ZBA or doing whatever they need to do in front of the planning board, and then all of a sudden the answer is no. We really have strided on, we're striding for public, you know, for public service, you know, with a private sector attitude. I think it's very important to know that, you know, government is a business. It may be an inefficient business, but it's a business. And we're in the business of issuing and selling permits. That's what we do. And, you know, to be obstructionist, I think, is absurd. You know, I think that there is a change of direction in my department, I would say 180 degrees, and we are heading the other way. So I'm working very hard on public relations. We were able to hire recently. I remember last year I was in this council, and a councilor said, you know, how come you haven't hired any Haitian Creole people? And I remembered what he said, and you know, he was right. We didn't have a person in our office that could speak fluent Haitian Creole and fluent English, and we had an admin position open. I waited for that right person to come, and she is phenomenal. She's fantastic, you know, perfect fit, you know. And so, you know, those are the things that we're striding for. We're striding for, you know, increased, customer service and, having a greeter down in the basement to be able to guide people. A million people come in that basement with questions, and I had an idea and I brought to the mayor and he loved it, is having an information booth, a concierge, somebody that can give direction to anybody that's going to City Hall. I can't tell you how many people take the stairs because they don't know there's an elevator right next to them. I've done it myself. So, I appreciate and I will accept it as a compliment, and I continue to increase, the service to the citizens of Brockton, as a public servant. I'm honored to be in this position, and I really feel as though I can make a great difference in the next 5 or 6 years and really get this city on its feet where it needs to go and increase the economic drive. And part of that is having your hand out ready to help. And so I appreciate the compliment, Councilor. Thank you so much.
And just, Commissioner, just the last thing is, there's been some form-based coding that you've have tried to, bring to the council, and also I believe the Airbnb ordinance. So just real quick, can you just speak about some of the initiatives you're taking to kind of make a little bit of the development and things a little easier for residents and investors so we can generate revenue in different ways?
Yep, so I asked this council to pass a short-term rental, a temporary order. That order wasn't to invite or open up the gates to say, hey, everybody can have an Airbnb, right? But I do have, now I have a tool when someone wants to register their Airbnb that they're probably not using in accordance with the ordinance, they can now do that. In addition to that, it gives me the avenue for approval where there's probably about maybe 25 Airbnb locations in the city that I'm going to be sending letters out to, or at least try to track them down and say, hey, you can now register your Airbnb legally, and that's in pursuit of a permanent ordinance come the end of July, hopefully. So that was one thing that I was able to work with this council to get through, and I appreciate your work. In addition to that, form-based zoning, I've looked into it. I've had some experience with different versions of it in other cities. I see it working in other cities. I know that it's a big step for Brockton. I'm on board with it because I think that it's going to stimulate our economic growth, and you have to start somewhere. So it's better to have tried and maybe not made as much progress as you want. But I'm going to be involved. I have a great deal of zoning and planning experience in my prior positions in other cities, and so I can, I'm kind of inserting myself into the process with the city planner to help this public understand it, as well as some of the zoning attorneys and proponents that want to bring that kind of project base into the city. I think that we need it, and once I think we catch on and we start to understand it, it's going to be a great accomplishment for the city. In addition to that, there are some changes to the ADU laws, which I've reached out to Attorney Resnick about today and through yourself, to more align those regulations with state statutes. There are a couple of things there that are outside of the statute that we need to correct, and that will help to, to expedite permits where they should be expedited, not in some special circumstances, but certainly in the by right permitting issuance world, we should be able to get these through a lot quicker. So we are working on some zoning changes, and I have more coming. But those will be forthcoming in our in our next few meetings coming forward. So,
thank you, Mr. President.
Hi, Councilor.
Hi, and actually my question, he already asked all my question, but I'm just gonna start with the gratitude since you've been taking offer. Since you take the position, I've been getting a lot of compliments, As you know, I am less in trouble with my word as far as before. So many times, last time, they was doing things, whatever, and then I'm always involved, blah, blah. As far as you see my face, show up less to your office now. And I've been getting a lot of compliments, like my colleague just expressed. Things have been easy, and you have such a humanity. This is what we're looking for. And especially on your position, which is going to facilitate much in less stress. As we know, Brockton, we have a lot of population, different cultures, like, with a lot of lack to not understand the code and rules, because I used to be a code enforcement myself. But with your position, the way you've been doing so, been tremendous. Literally, I'm telling you, 90%, you know? And then I'm so proud of you. And then we're looking to support you exactly what the way is gonna facilitate for you to do more for the people, because in the day, it's not about us, it's about the people. And I am so speechless, but congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you, Counselor. That's
All right,
a
thank
very
you.
nice compliment.
All right, thank
And I'll
you.
keep up the good work.
Yes, thanks.
Councilor Castro.
Thank you. On both pages 411 and 413, there's mention of stadium purchase of service, and then stadium purchase of service again. And so I wonder, I just want to clarify, does that include the Shaw Center?
Yes, it does. Yep. That is the same cost center and same line item, yes.
Okay, as
Yep.
well as Campanelli Stadium. All right. And you mentioned that the Shaw Center is going to be used, and I'm wondering, who's in charge of the use of the Shaw Center?
So any scheduling is done through the mayor's office. We provide the support services, including custodians. There are 2 different cost centers. There's one for 300 people, which would be the first section. If you want 600 people, that would be the second section. I think it holds about 1,000 or so people, depending on whether it's fixed tables or chairs or not. But those, we're still working out details on that, but the rental fees are significantly, they're moderate. They're not, as much as a private venue would be. And I know it was the mayor's intention to use it for public and civic services rather than private functions. So I helped to draft some regulations and rules on the use of the hall, things like not using it for weddings or comedy shows or anything like that, but the mayor has the authority to use it for special circumstances that he feels fit into his category of appropriateness. Yep.
And is that to lease? I mean, is this all written down somewhere?
Yeah, we have a policy. We haven't made it completely contract yet, but we're close. And in conjunction with the city solicitor, he has to kind of put his legal stuff on there, who's responsible, who isn't.
Does legal stuff?
Yeah, that's right, legal stuff, yep, that's it. But yeah, we're very close to having a policy, and we have about a half a dozen events booked right now that are, are forthcoming.
Okay, and how is it staffed?
Well, the way that the policy is written so far is that we provide custodial services. Anything beyond that, if it's like a large crowd and it requires police detail, then that would be a separate charge. We don't provide catering services. Right now, we're not offering the kitchen as part of it. And so basically what the custodians are doing is they're staffing the building, cleaning up the bathrooms, but, for the most part, whatever person is renting the venue is responsible for setup and breakdown. We don't provide services for cleanup and all that other stuff. They're required to leave the hall pretty much the way they found it.
And the tables and chairs are there?
Yes, yep, they're allowed to use the tables and chairs. It's adequately stocked with those items, and yes.
But everything else has to be rented or brought
Yep.
in?
Mhm, yep.
And you're okay with people bringing in food and tableware?
So food permits are required. That is also in the contract. If there's a one-day liquor license, then that would have to be approved by the licensing commission. Yes, and all of those things will be worked in, I'm sure, with the legal stuff.
Okay, that's very interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
2 major items happened this year that seem minor when I tell them to you, and the building commissioner had the same item. 2 things we've been talking about for years is we started taking credit cards recently, and the service we're able to give the public by taking credit cards has been astronomical how much it's helped us in the office. We're able to save people from coming or mailing from outside of the city, outside of the state, even outside of the country. The second major improvement we've made, for years, we've prided ourselves on being able to speak Spanish, Cape Verdean, Portuguese, and have several people do that. We did not have anyone who could speak Haitian Creole. We now do, and it makes our counter so much happier for the people coming in, and we deal with people all day who are coming in to do things that they don't oftentimes understand. And we pride ourselves on the service we give and the smiles we try to have people leave with, even when we're not able to do. We have people that come in that are looking to get things done that they really need to go to an embassy or a consulate, and we are able to direct them. The other thing my staff is going to be thrilled with is the idea of a concierge, because we essentially are the concierge in City Hall. Every other department essentially sends anything they're not sure about, they send to the city clerk's office. We deal with people all day who don't know really what we do and what they need, and my staff keeps a smile on their face all the time, and I'm very proud. I go to the department head meetings, and I lectured every department head this year. We all know you have great staff, so you don't need to sit down at the budget meeting and thank you, staff, but I'm gonna break that rule because I do have the best staff, and I thank them. You deal with, we'll talk city council in a minute. All of you deal every day with my staff, and I think you'll agree completely what a great staff I have in the office. And so even though all the other department heads are not to do this, I'm here thanking my staff because they do make all of your lives easier and they make my life easier, but more importantly, they make life easier for the public. And if you have any questions on the city clerk's side of things, we'd be happy to take them.
Councilor Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Clerk, I want to thank you for your help you give me through the years, and especially your staff. Ms. Peliquin is always very helpful in getting the citations ready. Sometimes with a little bit of short notice on my part. I want to thank you very much. And JoJo has been a great addition to your staff also. I look forward to continue working with you this upcoming year, Mr. Clerk. Thank you again. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Castro.
Thank you. Good evening. So I guess this is the quiz. I'm wondering about the numbers of birth certificates, death certificate, and marriage certificates that you have
And
issued.
actually, some of those numbers are not quite accurate. I'm gonna have to get you some of the records that we have here. The state actually runs calendar year on most things, where we run the fiscal year. But the certified copies in particular, we have a target of 11,000. That we'll probably do more than that, 12,000 or so. And we get, every certified record we do is $24 to the city. And I don't want to say anything, but we get complaints all the time. We're more about twice as high as a lot of the state on that. But it brings in a lot of money for the city, and this is what we do. Birth registrations, of course, there's nothing we can do for the target. That's what the public does that for us. But some of what you should realize, though, birth registrations in particular, with the problem that happened at Signature Healthcare this year, they were off their computer system for about 2 months. My staff, the hospital reached out to, well, the state reached out to us, and we said we would do this. We handled all of those registrations for those, basically birth registrations that started at the hospital, and the family fills them out, and then it comes to us, and we finish the registration for the Mass Vital Records. All of those families over the last 2 months have had to come in personally too, and we've done all of the work. And of course, in a city like Brockton, probably 80% are second language speakers, which is why having the Haitian person who we stole from the tax office, but that's okay, all's fair in love and war. But, and the languages we speak, and able to help them, because a lot of people don't realize if that certificate isn't done exactly right, and I mean to the dotting the I and crossing the T, the rest of their life, it's a problem. You can't just come in and say, oh, yeah, I need to fix that. It oftentimes ends up in court to get that fixed. It's generally not an issue, but it can become a major issue when they go to get a passport or when they go to get a driver's license later in life. And in fact, that's something we do all the time. JoJo and all will have to do what we call an affidavit to fix items that were done incorrectly 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and now they're trying to do legal things in their life, and they can't do it because one letter or one word is wrong, it can be literally one letter, and they can't get into what they need to do, and that's some of what my staff does. So, but birth registrations are up. Business records, those numbers are off. There'll be quite a bit more. Business registrations, a lot of people don't realize, every business that's not incorporated in the city needs to register with us unless they operate under their name. In other words, if you were Susan DeCastro, lawyer, attorney at law, you don't need to register. Although most banks insist that they register with us, and that's for 4 years. And we have to explain oftentimes that's not a license to do business. It's a registration that we keep so that the public If the public feels they've been wronged by a business, they can come to us, find out who owns it, and track them down. So those are a lot of the things we do, and it's very varied. And again, as Jojo or Diane could tell you, it's not a license to operate, which they think all the time we're giving them a license. It's just a registration so that your constituents are protected and can find the owner of a business. But business registrations will be more like about 700 or 800 in the year. And those are generally good for 4 years.
I see nobody else for Mr. Clark. So we are on to City Council.
And on the City Council side, I think as most of you know, my targets remain the same, and it's to serve you, the councilors, so that you can serve your constituents. I'm very proud of my staff and how we try to be there for all of you whenever you need help. And also, we try to be the liaison to all the city departments. I think Dr. Clarkson would back me up that we work very well with all the city departments when they need to track down records of ordinances. We had a call last week about an ordinance that was 1966. We have that. It takes a while sometimes to find it, but we have all those records and we have to find those, and the things don't go away. Just what you pass now, we need to know where it was and where it came from, and we're in the middle of updating some of the ordinances, and Shannon is working on that to come to you, and we're looking at things that may be outdated and that we need to fix, or that we don't have properly published, which we do not. We used to get the thick books for all of you. Everything now is online, and if you don't know how to look up the ordinances on the city website, it's very simple, and anybody can call me, any member of the public could call me. We can translate it right online, and we can find searchable city ordinances in no time. And again, I think it's fairly simple what my goals are, but my goals are to be there for you so that you can be there for your customers, for your constituents.
I see no questions. Well done, Mr. Clark.
Thank you. Thank all of you. Thank you.
Councilors, that is all we have for this evening. We are adjourned. I'll see you tomorrow.